Hyperdrive now. 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 right now.
Ellos han hecho un largo viaje. Desde las dunas de neón las islas incendiadas y hasta el desierto más remoto. Ahora esperan. La tormenta se va creando. La presión crece. El desafío final es ahora. El momento del ataque ha llegado. Una última chance para la gloria del campeonato. El Energy X Prix está aquí.
Hello and welcome to Uruguay for the Natural Energy X Prix and the season finale, as we see if Rosberg X Racing can make it 2 championships in a row, or if one of the 3 other teams still in contention can steal the crown from them. I'm Andrew Coley. In the commentary box with me is Jenny Gao.
Yeah, thank you. Extreme has returned to South America, and from the challenges of Chile last time out, we head to the stunning coastal city of Punta Del Este on the Atlantic Ocean. Nearly 200,000 sea lions have this near them as their home. It's the perfect spot for a holiday too.
So, championship decider, 4 teams in the mix. Knowing Extreme, this should be an epic weekend. Just in case you're brand new to the series, let's remind you how it all works. Extreme is a fully electric off-road championship racing on the most challenging terrains across the globe. 10 world-class teams, each fielding 1 male and 1 female driver in gender-equal lineups. In each session, both drivers will compete behind the wheel of the Odyssey 21 electric SUV, with a driver changeover, the switch, halfway through. Each driver gets an Innova hyperdrive boost in every session, giving them an increase in power to provide thrilling overtakes. There are also bonus points available for the fastest team through the Continental Traction Challenge section of the course over the weekend. Day 1 is qualifying, with a round of time trials followed by a round of head-to-head races. This decides how teams line up for Day 2's racing. Day 2 sees high-speed knockout racing with the goal of reaching the final. First up are the 2 semi-finals, where the top 2 teams progress from each. Then it's the last chance to progress in the winner-takes-all crazy race. Fans can vote for their favourite driver in grid play, with the winning team able to select their grid spot for the final first. The 5-car main event sees the teams battle it out to be crowned X Prix winner and bag 25 championship points. The team with the most points after 5 races will be crowned Extreme E champions.
Well, the teams took to the streets of Punta del Este earlier this week, and you can see the fans absolutely love to be able to be part of this championship. The first time, really, they've been able to do that, Andrew. Yeah,
it is indeed. Yeah, fans at this event for the first time ever. Of course, they've had things like the Dakar Rally down in Chile before, so they really love their motorsport.
And I tell you what, it's the championship decider as well. RXR go into this as clear favourites with a 17-point lead over their nearest rivals, X44. But it's all up for grabs this weekend. Let's remind you of what's happened so far with qualifying earlier on today.
Q1 grass for the first time ever as a surface. Some of the drivers had said yesterday that it was pretty slippery, but as the grass was cutting up, the grip levels were coming up, and the first people to go and experience that were the number 99 Chip Ganassi Racing Hummer EV of Sarah Price and RJ Anderson, who steps in this weekend to cover for Kyle LeDuc. To be fair, it was a great run by Price. Anderson taking over. All the female drivers nominated to run first in Q1. First time seeing RJ was impressive.
Yeah, it's really nice to see him out there. He's from California, 29-year-old. He's got lots of experience with the Baja 1-2, Baja 1000s. So using those skills to transfer over, as you say, just sitting in for Kyle LeDuc this weekend. But he showed a real pedigree out there and really enjoyable and a decent time set of a 10:15.242, an opening gambit.
Now another Anderson up next. But this, of course, is Clara Anderson, who is a World Rallycross Championship driver who stepped in as Championship driver at the last round when Jutta Kleinsmith hurt herself in one of the free practice sessions. This time nominated by the team to start the weekend. So all the practice sessions meant that she was a little bit more into the car, and you can see that their times were really competitive. They did have a little issue, though, Jenny, in the switch zone.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, really. You can just see here they've parked a little bit outside of the marked bay area, which meant they got an extra 5 seconds added on to their time. So frustration for them, but they were going really well. And if it hadn't have been for that parking infringement, they may well have been topping the timesheet.
I like that, parking infringement. It's always, you imagine some sort of a warden down there. Well, basically, that's what the stewards were, yeah, and they gave them this penalty. Without it, as you can see, they were 5 seconds up as they crossed the line, but then given the penalty, and that dropped them to 0.21 behind. So super close at the top, but the drama was only just beginning.
Oh, yes, we like to do things big here. This is Hedda Hossas in JBXC alongside Fraser McConnell for the first time this weekend. She was out there, and you can see she was going great guns in that Jensen Button team. However, it starts to go wrong here, takes to the side, over the top she goes, little barrel roll, and unfortunately that was game over for Hedda Hossas. We spoke to her afterwards, she was all right, but unfortunately for them it means that Fraser McConnell didn't get a chance to go out and they couldn't set a time.
Yeah, here it was that she just ran up the left-hand side of that bank, and if you watch some of the other drivers closely later, you have to just miss the slight rise that's on the inside, up on 2 wheels, bicycling, and over it goes. Now, she wasn't the only one. This is Michaela Arlen-Kotlinski. Crucially, championship leader. Saved this, and that is an incredible save, let me tell you. Put the lock in the right direction, gunned the throttle, got the car back. Unfortunately, later on in the run, the car gets a little bit too sideways on the exit of the corner. Here it is. Rear kicks up, she stays in the throttle, boom. Championship leader rolled on its side, retired. No run for Johan Kristoffersen.
Yeah, that could be really costly for them. They do have this 7-point lead. You can just see the car getting out of shape. Flips over, nasty landing. Doesn't look like it's significant damage to the chassis or anything like that, so they should be able to get out again for the second part of qualifying. But you can just see she almost manages to correct it, but can't quite save it in the end. And for Arlen-Kotlinski, who is all right, we believe, it wasn't the perfect ending.
Tough start to the championship weekend. That was Carlos Sainz looking on. I guess by then they were thinking it might be advantage them, but only if they could, of course, beat X44, who were one of the 4 teams in that championship fight as well. Gutierrez out there setting blistering times, particularly in the Continental Traction Challenge. She was the fastest female driver through there. And Jenny, all went wrong again.
It did. A beautiful cartwheel. Just have a look at that. Such a violent impact for Gutierrez, and you had to feel for her. The team looking on, obviously really disappointed. They were the closest to RXR coming into this weekend with a 17-point gap to the championship leaders. They'll be hoping for much better form as they continue through this weekend.
Listen to that as well. That was the team getting, the rescue team getting Gutierrez out. The noise of the impact gave it away. It was a much faster crash than the other teams had had, and 3 corners off that car. Tomorrow, Molinaro out for Excite Energy Racing with her new teammate, Compank. She took to the car first of all.
And having to sit there and watch those 3 rolls, you're thinking, oh, okay, what's going to happen when I go out? So I think they did a really good job with this new driver pairing of going out there and just steadying the nerves.
Yeah, indeed. This is Ezequiel Perez Compank. Normally a GT driver, family history in off-road motorsport, things like rallying. His dad was a co-driver. I think his brothers competed in rallying as well. But Ezekiel, this is his debut, and again, what a debut to have to make. They were some 15 seconds back, but by now I think we were seeing teams go, you know what, if we're going to make it through this session, we need to take a different approach. Plus, of course, his relative inexperience on these surfaces. Molly Taylor, plenty of experience.
Yeah, absolutely. She's back in the championship now, pairing up alongside Kevin Hansen. This is a new driver pairing for the Veloce team, who are testing out for next year. They're both on long-term contracts now, and both driving brilliantly out there. And you can just see Molly was delighted with her first run, and then Kevin went out there and absolutely blitzed it. Brilliant driving.
He was caning it on the second lap. He really was pushing hard. We've been talking about risk management. Certainly XI Energy, the previous team, had looked like they were not taking too many risks. Kevin was taking all the risks. As you can see there, a huge handful of opposite lock, but with it, the fastest time. Only by half a second, very close at the top. Could this be Veloce's first ever qualifying session win?
They were certainly hoping so. As you can see, Kevin totally pumped up, and then it was the turn of his brother, and first out, Katie Munnings for the Genesis Andretti United team. And I think they'd seen quite a few of the rolls and were just a little cautious in their approach to the first qualifying session, took it gently, just did a decent job of posting a time, and actually it was really close between some of the top drivers. The timings, there was almost nothing in it.
Yeah, Katie brought the car back within a couple of seconds, which was just where she needed to be. Hansen, you could see on his first lap, managed to take the lead on a couple of occasions, but it was so close that if you dropped half a second, you dropped down to P3, P4, and that's where they ended up. Look, just 2.04 off, and they were fourth. Very, very tight at the top.
Yeah, McLaren, the Neon McLaren team next up with Emma Gilmore. Now, she had a roll yesterday during practice, and she said that, you know, it was pretty tough out there today. Very hot conditions as well, which not particularly favourable, but you can see her gritting her teeth there and getting on with it and actually doing, you know, a decent job out there. I think they've got more in the tank. I
think they said, didn't they, that they had potentially just backed off a little bit too much. Faust tried really hard in his second one. Of course, it wasn't Faust who rolled yesterday. I totally understand why Emma took the approach she did. Her roll yesterday was absolutely bizarre. It really was a very strange one. But her and Faust 10 seconds off P5. That's good enough for today, particularly after the incidents we'd seen so far. Now, Laia Sanz running last after an issue with the car. The stewards were going to look into what that issue was and why they'd run last. They decided to take no action, and that left Sainz and Sanz free to have a big old push.
And they really did push. The pairings of them coming together really well. And look, you can see Laia Sanz came in with a 1.38 second advantage over everybody else that had taken the first laps, and then handing over to Carlos Sainz, who just extended their lead as well. Really good drive from both of them.
Yeah, brakes smoking away from Sanz when she dumped the car in the switch zone. You could tell how hard they were trying. Carlos went out and just absolutely lit up the timing screens. He really did. He was a couple of tenths up, then a couple of seconds up, carried on pushing the whole way through. It was a brilliant job by them, and they go fastest in Q1. So Acciona Sainz to the top of the table.
Well, great stuff. And you can just see what that leaves for the point classification at the moment. It is the Acciona Sainz team leading the way, and championship leaders going away with nothing, RXR. Now, Extreme's race locations are not only selected for their exhilarating off-road courses, but also for the role they play in climate conservation. And for the season finale, what better place to race than Uruguay, one of the most successful countries on the planet when it comes to transitioning to renewable energy. So let's get you up to speed with everything to do with environment here in Uruguay and the Natural Energy X Prix.
Renewable energies are the energy that you can replenish. It's something that you can use and you can keep using as long as you need. It's different from something that is linear, like let's say fossil fuels that you extract, you use, and then at some point it's going to end. The winds, the solar, also hydropower. Renewable energies are very important on the climate crisis because they are first renewable, second because they do not contribute to the emissions to the atmosphere that is increasing temperature on our planet. The world is now facing a huge challenge in moving from fossil fuels to renewable energy, and currently the matrix of energy is only 27% globally is renewable. If we come to Uruguay to see what they are doing, how they've been managing that, they are way beyond that. They are now 98% on renewables. And that's amazing. They are one of the leading countries in terms of renewable energy in our planet.
To learn more about this remarkable feat, Extreme E CEO and founder Alejandro Agag met the president of Uruguay ahead of the Energy X Prix.
Presidente, te quiero agradecer en primer lugar la bienvenida. Uruguay para nosotros es un ejemplo para todo el mundo, para todo el planeta, de un país que ha conseguido básicamente casi abastecerse al 100% de energía renovable.
Nuestro país quiere hacer punta porque tiene las oportunidades y las posibilidades de hacerlo. De hecho, en estos años estuvimos exportando a países vecinos bastante energía, así que creo que estamos muy alineados.
Sí, nosotros lo vemos una coincidencia perfecta en la dirección en la que va Uruguay, en la dirección que va Extreme E, y el desarrollo de la tecnología de los autos eléctricos, porque Uruguay genera ya esta energía limpia, ahora hay que utilizarla en los medios de transporte y así se cierra el círculo.
Nosotros pretendemos llegar a tener un cargador de energía eléctrica a cada 50 kilómetros en nuestro país. Las baterías están durando más, se cargan en menos tiempo. Si tenemos cada 50 kilómetros, tenemos al país preparado. Yo creo que estamos en un momento ideal.
Extreme E decided to have a race here in Uruguay to show the world by example what should be done. And I think Uruguay is showing the world that it's possible to change.
Well, let's take a look at the championship standings. Your leaders at the moment on 83 points. Rosberg X Racing, closely followed by X44 Vida Carbon Racing on 66 points.
Both of who rolled in Q1. Of course, the winners of Q1, Laia Sanz, and right up there on the timesheets as well, GMC Hummer EV Chip Ganassi Racing P3.
At the moment, they hold the fastest time for the Continental Traction Challenge as well, which could give them extra 5 points, putting them level on points with Laia Sanz. There's so much at stake this weekend. It's set up really, really well for this championship decider.
Yeah, can hardly wait to do live maths tomorrow as we try and figure out just how close this is.
It's our favourite thing.
Oh, brilliant stuff so far. Now, with us, as always, is Laura Winter, and she is down in the paddock.
Well, I've wormed my way into another garage and I'm in the Genesis Andretti United 10. I'm joined by Timmy Hansen. And I said to you, well, it's a quiet morning for you guys comparatively, obviously, to some of the drama that we saw for other teams. But you're saying a bit too quiet, perhaps a bit too conservative?
Yeah, we ran really late and we saw that carnage going on with so many crashes. So our common decision here before was to take it really easy. And then, yeah, both me and Katie came in and kind of said, like, yeah, okay, we drove through, but there was nothing special. And then seeing the timing that we were only 2.5 seconds off to be P1 and we were actually P5, then that's kind of frustrating. It felt like, could have just, gone a little bit faster. But anyway, I think we have great pace. The car is really good. So it will be nice to get into racing now. They probably watered the track. So my prediction is we see maybe less of those rolls. But yeah, it will be a full send now and trying to make back some ground that we lost in Q1.
And side-by-side racing as well, you've got Laia Sanz in there, you've got Chip Ganassi in there. It's going to be quite the battle off the start line for you and all the other men as well.
Yeah, but that's what I like the most, so I'm excited about that.
Oh, good stuff. You may like it. I'll sit there nervously watching, hoping for no drama. Thank you, Timmy. Best of luck to you, Katie, as well. Good luck, guys. Enjoy. Right, let's head down then. As I just mentioned, number 99, Hummer EV Chip Ganassi Racing are also lining up in that first race. So we're going to head down now. And as if by magic, one of their drivers is just here waiting for me, and it is RJ, new kid on the block. Side-by-side racing coming up. You guys had a good morning. You got out there early doors, set some good pace. How are you feeling in this car on firstly single run, but now with the prospect of 5-car racing to come?
Yeah, everything's new for me, right? So going into Q2, head-to-head racing. It's the first time I'm going to be on track with a bunch of different cars. We drew the first position here in Q1 this morning, and I wasn't sure how that was going to affect us with the track. We don't know. We didn't get to watch anyone go in front of us. So it worked out. Sarah ran some great laps as well. So I'm really looking forward to getting to Q2 going and racing against some of these competitors.
Grid slot 4 as well. It's going to be full send off the start line, isn't it?
Yeah, I've definitely kept my eye on these stars here in Extreme E, and I expect nothing less than pure entertainment. So we shall see how we fare into turn 1.
There you go. I've delivered you home. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Well, plenty of great driving talent up and down the paddock. So let's delve into one of them a little bit more and get to know all about Laia Sanz. She made the transition from 2 to 4 wheels and is going great guns.
My name is Laia Sanz and I'm racing for Acciona Sainz in Extreme. I started riding when I was only 4. One day I stole my brother's bike. I don't remember because I was too young, but my parents explained me that they listened a noise outside and it was me with my brother's bike. That was how I started. When I was really young, I remember all the week in the school waiting for the weekend to go riding. I started racing on trials. That is a completely different sport. It's about balance, about being calm, about, you know, it's really technique. And then I switched to enduro. That is another new thing. It's about speed on the bike. Being the only woman, at the beginning it was something normal for me. It's what I did almost all my career. I did 11 Dakars on a bike. One of the best was finishing Dakar on 9th position overall. That it was something amazing, unbelievable, and I got the best result in Dakar for a female. I feel really proud about that because more than winning championships, it's super cool to see how I help the new generations. Now it's normal to see so many girls doing trials in Spain, and I think somehow I helped to that. My start in Extreme was thanks to Carlos Sainz. One day, you know, I received his call and I was so surprised because Carlos in Spain and in all the world is a legend, and you can imagine how excited I was receiving his call, asking me if I would be interested in racing with him. When I started on trials, I would never imagine being racing cars with Carlos Sainz, you know, that I went to see him in the rallies. So you can imagine my answer was yes. I was, I think, the only driver here in Extreme that I had no experience on 4 wheels, so he believed that I could be better. Jumping from 2 wheels to 4 wheels is not easy. The kind of racing is not what I'm used to. Here you need to adapt so quick. Fighting with other cars is something that I never did before. Sometimes it's a bit scary, you know. We have in one side Loeb, in the other side Hansen. But now I'm feeling competitive. I'm helping the team and I feel really proud with it. I always like to be out of my comfort zone. I feel really blessed because my hobby and my passion is also my job. But of course, on cars, I'm just starting. I feel that I've been always a warrior and I'm proud of that. And I think if you really fight for something, you can achieve big things.
Well, this is the course map then, 3 kilometres, so each driver will go around twice. We've got riverbeds, we've got lakes, we've got all sorts of things. We've got a continental traction challenge as well. Looks like it's going to be a decent course.
Yeah, I think so. It's the dips which have caused people problems. There's a couple of big dip compressions, one on the exit of the traction challenge, one later on in the lap. Both of those have caused rolls. You're seeing the drivers now trying to get straight on those exits. What we're not sure about is how much pace there is in that continental traction challenge, and we did hear Timmy Hansen earlier on saying they'd wet the track down. Now that would be for dust. If they've done that, that could affect the time in that section as well. But I think all still to play for. There is a chance if they damped it down, it could be a bit tackier. Depends how wet it is.
Fastest time through there so far has been a 41.227 set by Kevin Hansen. So that's one of the times we need to look out for. If anyone goes better than that, we'll get a real good gauge, shouldn't we?
Yeah, and interestingly, Acciona Sainz got within 0.25 because remember, it's both drivers' times added up together, and they were the last people out on track. So at the minute, it looked like the pace was in there at the end of the session. So yeah, can they wrestle those 5 points away or not?
Those 5 points may well be crucial when it comes to the championship. You can see Punta Del Este awaits.
So this is where we are after Q1. The drivers lining up into their heat races, of course, for Q2. 5 in each of those races.
Race 1 of Q2 is coming up fast and furious, and of course it's 5-car racing. Now we've just shown you the wreckage of the X44 car. Not much work being done on that, quite a lot of work being done just down there. So talk me through what's happening with the car for this one.
Yeah, we have damage in the chassis, so we need to use the championship car. It's quite new for everyone, so the guys from X44 are working very hard to take the car in time. We'll see what happens because we never drove this car, so it's going to be crazy when we start, but it's like this.
We'll take a walk now. Earlier on, you said to me that mentally that role, a big one that you had earlier on, was tough to take. How are you feeling now, having a bit of time to reflect on it, and of course with the prospect of side-by-side racing to come?
Yeah, for sure. In the beginning, always it's difficult for me because we try to understand what happened and still don't know, but the races are like this, sometimes lose, sometimes win, and the good thing is now we are very ready to this Quali 2, and we'll see what happens.
Very ready. I'm excited to see that. Of course, title fight still very much at large. RXR also rolling.
Yeah. It's going to be crazy because the first two cars in the championship roll, so it's like this.
We'll see what happens. Thank you very much to you, Christina. I'll let you head back. Thank you. Well, as Christina just said to you, that's the highs and lows of sport, the highs and lows of motorsport. And indeed, for X44, for RXR, it's been a difficult morning so far. Both Michaela Arlen-Kotelinski and Christina Gutierrez rolling the car. They're down the pecking order. But it's been a good morning indeed for Axiona Sainz, who stormed to the top of the qualifying run this morning. A brilliant, brilliant time set by them. And I can now join Laia Sanz, who's waiting for me here. Laia, a great morning for you guys. Well, title rivals fell a little by the wayside. You must be looking ahead to side-by-side racing with some anticipation.
Yeah, I think it was a good morning. Of course, after all what happened, we were really careful, and I think at the end we did a great job. And of course now will be more complicated with more cars on the track, so will be a great fight. If you see the times, we were all in 5 cars in 2 seconds, so as you can see, it will be super close.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Just 2.6 seconds separated the top 5 or so. No penalty for you guys for missing your qualifying order due to an issue with the car beyond your control. Is that issue fully sorted now? You're content that the car's ready to go?
We hope he's fixed it. It was not our fault, so luckily at the end is no consequences for that. And yeah, we'll see. Hopefully is everything ready, and we can do a good quali too to be on a good semi-final tomorrow.
Single run so far. We're now about to see side-by-side racing. What are you expecting from this course?
I hope no crashes and to do a good job with no big mistakes. Then I think if we do that, we will have a good result.
Keeping that title fight well and truly alive, aren't you?
It's hard. Also because what happened today at the end, if you do a good quali 2 and everything is open still. So I think it will be so tough. Our opponents have more advantage. So yeah, it will be difficult, but we will try. We have to. So we will fight until the end.
Excited to see. Thanks so much. Good luck.
Thank you.
So you've heard from the drivers and you know what to expect. Let's go down to the Vodafone Business Command Centre and we can speak to Sarah Price, who's down there for the GMC Chip Ganassi Racing team. Sarah, how you doing? You good?
Good. How are you guys?
Yeah, we're very well, thank you. Excited, though, to see what's going to happen. How are you getting on with your partner in crime this weekend? Because you've got RJ in with you, deputising for Carl Leduc. You two getting on well?
Oh yeah, we've been friends for a long time, and so it's been pretty easy, you know, teaming up and kind of just showing him the ropes of all this works, because it's a whole different form of racing, as you guys know. It gets crazy really fast, so he's been learning as fast as he possibly can.
Well, you showed him the ropes pretty well this morning. You guys were P3 in Q1, and you're actually currently fastest in the Continental Traction Challenge, which would close that gap down in the championship. You must be pretty happy with your morning.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we just wanted to go out there, be smart, and try to just keep building on a good foundation. And yeah, every person that went out, we were like, did they get the Continental Challenge? We hope not. And then we're just praying that no one did. And so, you know, it worked out in our favor, and hopefully we stay there.
Good job. Well done. Good luck this weekend, Sarah. Nice to speak to you. You can feel the nerves and the tension already. It's great.
Yeah, have a good run in Q2.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, I found out earlier, by the way, it's turkey buzzard. Was
There
the
we go.
yeah, same lady who told us about the other bird. The
We've been
cardinal.
bird spotting.
Yeah.
If you haven't joined us for Q1, you missed out. That's all I'm saying. Let's go down to the command center.
Attention all teams, this is race control. Stand by for the start of the Energy X Prix. Qualifying round 2, heat 1, is about to commence. Energize your systems and prepare to race.
Are you feeling energized?
Yes.
Are you prepared to race?
I would be, yes. Very much. Give me the call up and I'll be there.
He'll be doing all the hand actions from here anyway while he's talking about the race. This is going to be good stuff. 5 cars taking the start for the first time this weekend in Uruguay. You can see the breeze has just picked up a little bit.
It has indeed. Let's run through who's out there for you. Timmy Hansen chilling in the car. All the guys starting this one. There is RJ Anderson. Eyes shut. Carlos Sainz.
30 seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds to go then on this one. Here's your grid for Q2 Race 1. Carlos Sainz and Laia Sanz for Acciona Sainz. RJ Anderson and Sarah Price for Chip Ganassi Racing. We've then got for Genesis Andretti United, Katie Munnings and Timmy Hansen. Your Excite Energy Racing and JBXC lining up.
Yeah, this is good stuff. X44 there.
X44, my bad.
That's okay. We're getting ready to race. Let's see what happens off the start. So 5 cars taking the start. They're all pretty level at the moment. X44 just stepping aside. It looks like Chip Ganassi have just held back. Lots of hyperdrive being used. The Anoa hyperdrive giving extra power boost. Look at them go up here. Acciona Sainz hustling down. Andretti United are the two going to make contact. There's contact behind. Let's keep an eye on the front lot though. They're going through almost side by side. I think they're just coming round. This is going to be close, but it looks like Acciona Sainz have managed to just get in front of the Genesis Andretti United team. Then it's X44 in that spare chassis that they've managed to use. Then it's GMC Hummer EV Chip Ganassi team, and Excite having a little bit of contact, managed to drop down to 5th.
Looked like it was very slippery on the brakes into turn 2. You could see at the back of the pack it was a spin for Excite Energy. I'm not sure that there was any contact involved. It was just after that big jump compression. And I think as the car came down, it was Ezekiel Perez-Compang, who of course isn't used to so much of the off-road driving, and ended up spinning round. Hansen leading from Sainz, so close between them. They came ultra sideways into turn 2, which was fantastic to see. There is still a bit of dust, so it's not that wet out there, Jenny. Maybe they've just wet the start down.
Yeah, you can see that the Hummer EV vehicle is trying to just move a little bit out of that line to try and get some clear space so they're not getting covered in it, but there is a lot of dirt and dust out there. This is a very different surface to what we've had before in the past. X44 just trying to close down our leaders, but there is the leader. It's Timmy Hansen for Genesis Andretti United, just managing to get a little bit of a stretch on the Acciona Sainz team, but Carlos Sainz trying to close back.
Interesting to see them use their hyperdrives off the start. I think that goes to show you how much they wanted to lead, and that is all about this visibility situation. If you're out front, you can kick the dirt up in the face of the cars behind and the screens of the cars behind. Makes their life a little bit more difficult. So we thought we'd maybe see people save it for later in the run, and that's not necessarily a bad idea, but I think you can see how much you want to be out in front.
Yeah, and I think the fact that Anderson didn't use it off the start line just really cost him. You could tell when everybody else used their Anoa hyperdrive, and they just got so much more push. So that's round lap 1. Remember, 2 laps of this 3-kilometre course, and Acciona Sainz are closing.
There's a problem for X44, Jenny. They're 18.5 seconds back. X44 Vida Carbon, a long way off the pace. That seems to have levelled itself out. So I don't know if it was a mistake and then carried on or not. Must admit, I didn't see what happened. 19.3 now, so they're not hemorrhaging time. But of course, having to swap cars in between sessions, that's a lot of work for the team, and that's going to hurt them championship-wise. Carlos Sainz still up there for Acciona Sainz. He'll be hoping for a good result in this one. And of course, we're going to see other championship contenders in the second race.
Just getting a little bit out of shape. I thought he'd lost it there, but he managed to get it back, losing a little bit of time there to Timmy Hansen. Remember, they're going to come in and do a switch to the other driver, and Timmy Hansen will try and get as much space as he can between him and the Acciona Sainz team, and GMC Chip Ganassi using their hyperdrive.
I wonder if they've saved that, Jen, in an attempt to try and get the Continental Traction Challenge again. They're trying to maybe hold on to it. He certainly saved it for the portion of the lap that he would need it in. He's deep in sector 2. Now Loban Gutierrez as well. So they're trying, aren't they, for that? But they've already lost 25 seconds. There's a problem for them. Surely, if they've lost 7 seconds, they're not expecting to get it there. But I reckon they're trying to steal those points, and that's why they didn't use it off the start.
Yeah, so you can see Acciona Sainz come out of that Continental Traction Challenge zone. There's some fast times. They're not really rivaling the one set this morning at the moment, though, when racing conditions much harder. But look at Timmy Hansen. He's really ragging this, trying to find a way to extend that lead. It's almost out to 5 seconds now between him and the Acciona Sainz team. You can see it visibly growing.
Yeah, 4.7 now. Trying to see how far. I'd love to know where X44 are. We haven't seen anything of them to see if there's an obvious problem with the car. I mean, you can see them on the map, bottom right of your screen. They are a long, long way back. This is going to stick them firmly in the crazy race. That is a good point. So X44 are going to be in the crazy race tomorrow. 4 cars and only 1 goes through. If they don't go through from that crazy race, they will be out of the championship fight. So Loban Gutierrez have it all to do tomorrow already. I cannot, if they come back from here, it will be an absolute miracle.
Genesis Andretti United, our first team into the switch zone. Then wipers on for the Acciona Sainz team. Just using their smarts, and Carlos Sainz trying to set the car up as well as he can for Laia. Now, you've got to nail this switch. In a racing situation, this is a little bit harder. Get in. Has he gone in far enough? That's the question. We've seen a penalty for that already this weekend from one of the teams. But let's hope they have. Acciona Sainz will have the last pit box, so they pull into theirs, and they'll do the switch. So we've got 4 teams in. Let's see how they shuffle out as X44 finally make it through. I wonder what happened to Sebastian Loeb out there. I'm sure we'll find out. RJ just flicking one of the seat belts up. His first switch when it comes to a racing environment.
So this is going to be Katie Munnings versus Laia Sanz for the win. Sarah Price is only going to be a further 5 seconds back. There's no reason she can't close that gap up a little bit. You can see the Genesis Andretti United switch has gone beautifully, that's a regular occurrence for that team. Quite see if so they get away now. Watch for Laia Sanz in the Acciona Sainz machine. Should leave pretty soon afterwards. She's in the car and good to go, so they've got their switch sorted as well. Look at that, gritted teeth already, and she's at 30 kilometers an hour, leaving the switch zone. Let's see, what does Katie do? Does she hold? 23 is under investigation for switch zone infringement.
I don't think they were in far enough. And now, if that's the case, we had a team that had that yesterday. Earlier on today, it was a 5-second penalty. So I think Laia Sanz is going to know what she's got to do.
They've got to hold on to that 5-second lead then, haven't they? OK, Laura Winter is down there in the switch zone.
Well, a brilliant run for Timmy Hansen, but I have just told you are under an investigation for a switch zone infringement. We were wondering whether it's because you weren't quite far in enough. You're saying you definitely think you were?
Absolutely. I was far into the box, so that's very strange to hear, and I was also clear on pit entry, but yeah, the stewards are in charge, aren't they?
Well, they'll investigate it, and we'll see. I'll let you head to Command Centre and see how Katie gets on. Thanks, Timmy.
Investigation doesn't mean guilty, you know. So they're having a look at it, but it could be speeding, it could be position in the box. Either way, Timmy's unhappy about it. Laia's, I was going to say, is the door not shut? It's not. It's the harness. It's the window net in the background flapping around. So she at the minute is 6.4 back, Jenny. If they can hold on to a 5-second lead, the penalty won't matter anyway, depending on what that penalty is. But if it is the box thing, as you think it might be, then they just need to come in with more than 5 seconds and they'll still take the win.
So Laia Sanz knows what she needs to do. She wants to go out there and chase down this gap between her and the Andretti United team and Katie Munnings. What can she do out there? She's been on great form so far this weekend. She was rapid earlier on today in the first part of qualifying, and she will try and close that gap as best she can.
All waiting to use their Renault hyperdrives until later in the run. So just, I think when we see race 2, if several cars use it off the start, I think we can pretty much safely say that that will be the tactic tomorrow as well, to try and get that whole shot and lead. Look at Sanz moving the car around. Her confidence is so much higher in her driving than it was last year. Munnings with nice rotation in flag 20. The gap is now 5.7. Laia Sanz has closed it down by a few tenths of a second.
She'll have to do more than that if she wants a chance of trying to go through as the top qualifier this weekend.
5-second penalty confirmed for Genesis Andretti United. So the gap is 5.7. This would be the time you want to get on the radio and say, push a little bit harder, 0.7 of a second, and we get to take the win. So she's now 0.5 back. Laia Sanz closing down that gap on Katie Munnings out front. Munnings just needs a little push to try and up it a bit, and another 10th goes the way of Laia Sanz.
This is fascinating to watch now. So much at stake, knowing this 5-second penalty is there. They know what they've got to do. Just having a look down the order, it looks like Gutierrez has just overtaken Molinaro, the X44 car going up to 4th place, and the Excite Energy Racing team dropping down to 5th. And it's the Anoa Hyperdrive being used for Genesis Andretti United.
So Laia Sanz hasn't used that in the same place unless she's going to use it later along this straight. So I think that's a great place to have deployed it by Munnings. Has that helped the gap? It's gone up to 7.5. So now Price is using it further back, so 7.2. I wonder if Laia Sanz has missed her chance, unless she was thinking somewhere else on the lap, Jenny. Maybe the run to the finish line would be the place to close it down. Munnings pushing so hard through the right-hander, through the dip now. In the background, Sanz still chasing her hard as well, but the gap's gone up to 8.5. So great deployment of that Anoa Hyperdrive by Andretti United, and I think that's going to seal this one for them.
Let's see what happens. So Genesis Andretti United and Katie Munnings out in front. That gap now 8.4 seconds between her and Laia Sanz for Acciona Sainz.
Listen to the car. She's having a big old push towards this finish line now. Just a few flags for her to go. 8.1. You can see the gaps up visibly in the background. Sit down to now, still 8.4. They're holding on. The gap's gone pretty steady now. Jenny, where do you think she's going to use that hyperdrive?
She's going to have to use it very soon, otherwise she's going to run out of track, and that would be a penalty as well for not using it. You have to use it while you're out there.
Munnings then in the clear out front. Timmy Hansen brought it in for her, and despite that 5-second penalty for the switch zone, Genesis Andretti United going to come over the finish line to win race 1 of Q2. In the background, Acciona Sainz, Laia Sanz saved that hyperdrive for the very last section. Can they close the gap down? Oh, 3.0. They saved the hyperdrive, knocked 5 seconds off. They were bang on the money, and they're going to steal the win, surely, with a 5-second penalty.
Wow.
Or is the 5-second penalty been added after the line?
That makes sense. That's why it jumped so much.
I was going to say, that's too much, isn't it?
That's why it jumped so much. So you're right. It's well done. It's the Genesis Andretti United.
Wow.
Who win that by 3 seconds. So if they were about 8 seconds there. They've added the 5-second penalty on already. So the gap 3 seconds. My word, that was so tight. X44, we wonder what happened to them. They come across the line in 4th place. So it's Munnings from Sanz, from Price, Gutierrez, and Molinaro just going to bring the car home for Excite Energy Racing. Well.
Yeah, X44 were P9 in Q1. This is Excite Energy Racing still coming in, so they're a
looks like they've got a bit of damage to
pace.
the rear right, I would suggest. Just having a look at that car, it's flapping around quite a little bit at the back, so whether there was a little bit of contact and some body work off, or we'll find out. Laura Winter's down there as ever for us, and she will be getting all of the scoops. But what a drive from these two. Genesis Andretti United.
I really thought when we saw as Sanz came across the gate prior to the finish using the hyperdrive, we thought, oh my God, she's taken 5 seconds. That would have been genius. But they added the 5 seconds on to Genesis Andretti United's time as they crossed the line. So it is from race 1 in Q2. Genesis Andretti United who take the win. At the back of the pack, look, Excite Energy Racing and X44. X44 going to be in the crazy race tomorrow, one of our championship contenders. P3 for Chip Ganassi Racing, it's P2 for Acciona Sainz, and P1 for Hansen and Munnings, Genesis Andretti United.
Oh, the celebrations. You can see how delighted they are, what it means to them.
Sorry about the penalty. It made it hard for you.
Give me a challenge.
Yeah.
Love it. Sorry about the penalty. That's okay. Gave me a challenge, she says. Not parking quite inside that zone. Got to really tuck it into the box. Oh, look, they're so happy.
That's Chris Munnings, Katie's dad. And there's Tracy, Katie's mum. How lovely.
Nice for them to be able to be there.
That's brilliant, isn't it? Yeah.
Right, Vodafone Business Command Centre is our next destination, and we will speak to Sebastian Loeb. And Sebastian, cool, that was a good fight out there. Enjoy it?
Yes, for sure. Honestly, I didn't really try hard to fight because we had a problem in the first quali. Christina rolled and the car is destroyed. So we had to start with a new car that I never tested before, and we knew that we have 0 points. So probably we'll also get a penalty. So we didn't try to fight for this race. I tried to fight for the super sector that I did, the traction challenge sector. So that was my goal. And tomorrow we'll start in a crazy race. So we will see where we can do with that.
So Seb, did you drop back on purpose to give yourself some room to attack the Continental Traction Challenge? Was that is that why you lost time in the first sector?
Yes, yes. I wanted to have a clear run in the super sector. So as I was not able to take the lead in the first corner, I decided to drop back completely. Yes.
Well, you did a good job. Just looking at the timing screens, it's showing us a 40.786 for your time, which is a blistering sector. What's the secret to that one? Can you tell us? No one else is listening. I think it's fine.
No, the secret was to have a clean run. It's a lot of dust on the track, and as you are following someone, or even if you have someone close behind, you have to close the door. So the only way to have a good time was to have a clean run, so I had to let a big gap. It's not the way I prefer to race, but we achieved our goal of the race of today, so that's the main thing.
Good stuff. Thank you so much, Sebastian. We'll let you go.
Thank you.
That's risky tactics. So they've gone for the 5 championship points over being in the crazy race. So Laura Winters with our winners.
Katie, Timmy, congratulations. Brilliant stuff as we just see this car coming in. So we'll move you out the way, out the path of harm there. Brilliant stuff from both of you. Timmy, I said to you in the switch zone, you've got an investigation that became a penalty. You gave Katie a little bit of work to do.
Yeah. Yeah, like looking back now, she just needed the extra pressure. I think so. Didn't want to make life too easy for her, but it seems to be my rear was out the box, so yeah, I'll do better next time.
Yeah, tiny margins, isn't it? Katie, how much did you know of that 5-second penalty when it came in? And deploying the Anoa hyperdrive when you did as well, just opened that gap up, didn't it, to Laia Sanz behind?
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was tight. I didn't know that we had a penalty. I kind of knew I had a 6-second gap, and then about halfway through the second lap, I heard we had the penalty, and we had 5 seconds, and I think it was a 5.7 second gap. So then I knew I had to push. So I think we managed to get it up to about 8 in the end. So yeah, I really enjoyed the last section of that lap. Being told that you can just push as hard as you can is like one of the best feelings as a driver. And Timmy did an awesome job. This one's on him. He's so good at starts. I love standing in the command center and watching him start it.
You really love that? You say you always close your eyes.
Yeah, I don't watch it. I like it when he wins. Afterwards, I like it.
I watched through through my fingers, terrified to watch. Just a word then on that start and that battle with Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, it was a great battle. I had a good launch off the line. The car was fast down the straight, and I kind of felt like I had the momentum, but I left still room on the inside. And yeah, Carlos took that gap, and we had contact through turn 1, but fair. And then we both braked really late for the second corner. But yeah, I had the inside at that point, and I was able to get out clear. So it was a nice battle for a few corners. And then, as Katie said, I was just pushing also myself flat out the whole time. And that was nice. After Q1, when we were having a very safe approach, and then as a driver, you haven't kind of done what you love. But now this is a good feeling.
Look at the smiles on both of your faces. I love it. Congrats. Well done.
Thank you.
Well, really interesting tactics from X44 in this first Q2 race. They drop back, so off the start line, look, they're in slot number 4 on the outside line here. At this point, I guess they may be thinking, let's see where we come out. I think, watch Ezekiel look spins on his own. At this point, I think Lowe will be thinking, right, okay, have I got a clear track or not, Jenny? He dropped back, but he has destroyed that sector. He's absolutely nailed it on, in the knowledge that Gutierrez had already done that before she rolled the car in the previous session. What fascinates me is that they're willing to give up a position, potentially not be in the crazy race, to take those 5 points. They think that's more important, but they've gambled big time on getting that result tomorrow.
Yeah, he was half a second quicker than anybody else had gone through that. It was an absolutely brilliant show, but a very brave one, as you can see there. X44 dropping back. We thought it was a problem. No, it was a strategy. On the other side of things, out in front, it was Andretti United. Out in front, Timmy Hansen setting things up. Katie Munnings would take over, and right behind him, it was Carlos Sainz. He just got a little bit out of shape at that point, but he did a stellar drive out there, and it was almost enough for him. Just pulling back on that. You can see the mud and the Anoa hyperdrive being deployed, and that set them up really nicely. It was a good battle, actually, between these two. Really fun to watch.
Interesting to hear, wasn't it? We said, didn't we, you'd get on the radio and you'd say, this was where you spotted straight away, didn't you, that it wasn't far enough in. So they are being really strict on that now, certainly more strict than they've been before. Just the rear end of the car poking out. And Katie had that lead at about 5.5, 4.5. It was tight. And then she got the radio call and she stuck another 3 seconds on it straight away. So I think they're driving with a little bit held back, and a great performance from them. That would mean they've been very strong in pretty much every session. They said themselves they backed off too much in Q1.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, that they had so much in reserve that they were able to do that and really pressurise and put something extra on the table when needed to. And I think Katie did a brilliant job of withstanding that pressure, knowing she was going up against the timing screen as well as going up against Laia behind her. And she kept her composure brilliantly.
Very, very impressive indeed. It really was. This was towards the end of the lap. We knew, as we say, that the hyperdrive had remained for Acciona Sainz for the finish line. This was the point at which we thought, goodness me. So as Laia crossed that next gate, looked like they'd gone 5 seconds up. They hadn't. That was the 5 seconds being added. So we thought they'd done enough to take the win, but they hadn't. Great stuff from Hansen and Munnings for Genesis Andretti United, taking the win in Q2 race 1.
Well, wherever we go racing, we race with a purpose and a reason. And one of the things we're really keen to do is change the way a paddock operates. And you can see all of these little icons celebrate the different things being done around the track to make a difference. For example, for season 2, our Continental tyres have been redesigned to include sustainable materials like silica from rice husk ash, alongside polyester yarn, which is made from recycled PET bottles. There's around 60 bottles in each tyre. Light, durable and strong.
Extreme E leaves a lasting environmental legacy wherever the championship races, and Uruguay is absolutely no exception. Joining me now is Francisco Oliveira of the Extreme E Science Committee and an Amazon specialist as well. Tell me, what are the problems affecting us here in South America?
Yeah, one of the largest problems, as you said, I'm an Amazon specialist, and the Amazon deforestation is something that is not affecting the Amazon rainforest, because all the moisture that you have in the Amazon region come all the way down in South America, helping the agricultural. If you lose that moisture coming down, the agriculture is going to be in a bad situation. They are going to lose productivity on the fields that we have in the rest of South America. Another thing is the sea rise level, because lots of people live along the coast in Brazil, in Uruguay, and Argentina. All of us are living in the coastal area. So that's very important to combat climate change. Otherwise, some cities are going to be underwater.
And the legacy project that Extreme E have as well in the Amazon is really important too.
Yes, the legacy project that we are supporting in the Amazon, we found a partner, the Nature Conservancy, and we are tackling different things. We are tackling restoring some areas that were degraded, bringing income for the local communities, and that's really great, and alleviating poverty for these people, because we have lots of people in the Amazon region that live below poverty level.
And you mentioned sea levels. That's crucial here in terms of the issues affecting Uruguay as well.
Yes, I think Uruguay has some very coastal cities, like where we are, Punta del Este and Montevideo, and some other cities. Most of the people are living on the coast, and if the sea level continue to rise, there will be a problem for all of these cities that are along the coast.
But Uruguay are doing something about it. They are global leaders in terms of renewable sources of electricity, an average daily of 98%. Transport is their next big challenge. Yeah. And you can see here the fossil fuels. Just talk us through what we're looking at here.
Yeah, we have 70% of carbon emissions that Uruguay has now come from the transportation. So that's the big challenge, the second big challenge, because they done really well with the first one, which is to bring 98% of electricity coming from renewables. The next challenge is the transportation, and that's where the electrification of cars and what Extreme E does in terms of pushing the boundaries on how we can electrify the fleet that they have here in transportation in a way that they can start removing carbon emissions from the transportation going down here. So at some point their emissions is going to be really low.
It's vitally important, isn't it? And Extreme E, obviously, with its electric fleet of vehicles here, will play a huge part in the solution. Thank you very much to you, Francisco. Such important work here in Punta Del Este.
Well, more important work to do now in race 2 of Q2. Are we going to see similar fortunes for RXR as we saw for X44?
Let's take a look at the runners and riders. We have Veloce going up against RXR, Apt Cupra, Neon McLaren and JBXE. Those are the 5 teams taking part in Heat 2 qualifying 2.
Race 2 is fast approaching in qualifying 2, and I'm going to take a walk with Kevin Hansen. Now, talk me through grid slot 5. Of course, a brilliant qualifying session from you guys this morning. Sees you P2 heading into this one, and both you and Acciona Sainz in your respective races have chosen that grid slot. Why that one?
Well, if you look at the rallycross race, we have 5 cars abreast, and we need to have a really, clever way to get into turn 1 first. So I think on the right side, we have a good chance of having the inside for waypoint 3. I was actually speaking to Carlos down there, and we both agreed, let's go for this one. So it was quite funny. That's the only time you can share a bit between, the teams. So no, that was fun, and I think that's the best spot. So hopefully we get a good launch and a good start.
Obviously, we've seen single car runs so far, but side-by-side racing on a course that we know has already bitten a few teams. You're smiling. We're all nervous, though. How are you feeling about this one?
I feel great. This is the best part of the weekend, the racing, and the car is just feeling fantastic, and I have so great support in the team. Molly and I are working great together. So, it's just, so far all good. But we're just one race into 4 races this weekend, and hopefully we can put it together this afternoon, get a good qualifying position for the races on, tomorrow for the crazy and the semi-finals and the finals. So, we're really exciting and feeling really good with the Veloce racing.
Quite the baptism of fire for Molly to come back in and see 3 cars before her roll. Is she feeling good?
She's feeling really good, and she has not driven for many months. So, I mean, she was a bit rusty in the beginning, but I think we can see the true Molly Taylor. She's the champion of year 1, so she will get there, and I'm really happy to have her alongside me.
Oh, and there's so much energy coming from you guys together. You were so pumped after that quali and so close to getting your first win there. So close. We'll see what happens in this race. Thank you very much, Kevin.
Thank you.
Best of luck. Thanks so much. As I say, very, very close to getting their first qualifying win, but not quite. I'm now going to head into the RXR garage, and I'm going to join, if I can, somewhere around here. I'll find him. Johan Kristoffersen, who is in the depths of the garage. Johan, unable to get out this morning. Of course, Michaela rolling the car. She's good, though. How's the car looking?
Car is good.
Car is good as well. Okay, Fighting Talk. Talk me through your grid slot. We've just spoken there to Veloce's Kevin Hansen saying grid slot 5 is the best one. Obviously, what are your thoughts on the pick of the grid slots?
So we got to choose second last, so there was only 2 options left. I think I had 4 and 1 to choose off, and I choose 4. But first start is always difficult to anticipate which one is the best, because you can visually look, but it's always difficult. And also, I have to say that, like in Extreme E, I had my thoughts sometimes that this one would definitely be prioritized to choose if I could, but I've been wrong many times, and this time I didn't have the opportunity to choose so many, so let's see.
We shall see. 28 points separating you guys, RXR and Chip Ganassi. 4 teams in this title mix, just 2.6 seconds, as I said earlier, separating the top 5 cars. It's going to be tight out there, isn't it? And this title fight is alive still for you guys, with X44 also coming a cropper.
Yeah, with all the points handed out in the final, it's going to be alive until the checker flag. So we will see. We'll try to do our best, but it's going to be tight. But it's still a long way to go, and I think times are extremely tight as anticipated. But at the same time now, it's a bit different with the heat by heat racing.
Well, I think RXR are very much getting ready for this one, aren't they? Best of luck to you, Johan. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Attention all teams, this is race control. Stand by for the start of the Energy X Prix. Qualifying round 2, heat 2, is about to commence. Energize your systems and prepare to race.
Well, they are preparing to race. 5 teams here, and they all have a lot to prove. RXR are championship leaders, looking to gain a little momentum from this weekend so far. They had that big roll, as did JBXC earlier on today. So they'll be looking just to settle the nerves and get into things. And it's all the male drivers who will be going first. They could choose, but they've all gone for the same choice. So just taking a look at this grid then. Kevin Hansen, Molly Taylor choosing to go into slot number 5. They got the first pick. Next to them, RXR. Then it's the App Cupra team in the middle. Tanner Faust and Emma Gilmore for the Neon McLaren team. And then to the far right, Fraser McConnell, getting his first real shot in the car this weekend properly, alongside Heda Hossas, and we'll see how our newbie will do. Exciting times out there. And I think Fraser McConnell will perform pretty well. 24-year-old from Jamaica. Exciting to see what he can do.
Kevin Hansen, you caught a glimpse of there. Johan Kristoffersen. Kristoffersen, of course, the pressure on here. He can take the pressure massively. But if they end up in the crazy race with X44, that race could, in theory, decide the championship, because only one of the teams will go through, and they will be desperate, I think, not to end up in there. They will be aware of the 5 championship points, but I think now you gamble the other way. You know X44 have got those. You're both going to have to nail it on without traffic to steal it from them. I think you've got to guarantee your place in the semi-final, not in the crazy race.
I think it's such a bold tactic, really fascinating. We've got some real clever thinkers within this paddock, and they're able to look at the bigger picture. And you've got Loeb and the team down at X44 who go, okay, our priority right now is getting those extra 5 points. We'll worry about getting through to the finals after that. And it's how everybody else now reacts to that and makes their decisions based on it. A reminder, Inoa Hyperdrive, once a session, each driver will activate it. It'll give them a 4-second boost, and we've seen how important it is when it comes to deployment. Get it in the right place, maybe off the start, and you could be leading into the all-important turn 1.
Could indeed. We saw several teams use that Inoa Hyperdrive off the start line. Who's going to do it this time? Championship leaders RXR, Johan Kristoffersen, 2 slots out from this side of the grid. Absolutely critical for him to try and get into the lead immediately. There he is. Cold, hard stare at the green light, waiting for the chance to launch, and then to race down to turn 1, away from the line. Looks like he's got a great start. Kevin Hansen inside him has as well. Alitair outside him. Alitair looks like he's nudging into the lead with Tanner Faust alongside. Kristoffersen keeps it lit on the inside, though, goes deep into turn 1, allows the car to run wide. Great decision. He'll now hold that inside line. Faust dropped back all the way down. He's going to surely hold the inside line into turn 2 as well. Alitair tries to go all the way around the outside. Contact. Fraser McConnell into the back of RXR. It's Alitair who leads you right on board now with Johan Kristoffersen in P2. Not too bad a place to be, but not where he planned from the start.
Well, I wonder if there's any damage to that car. You can just see Alitair out in front. Then it's RXR making the dash down. They're going to go on the outside. They're going to try and get the gather here. They can't quite get enough pace to get round it, but it means he'll have the inside going into the right-hand line. Who's going to come out of this, Alitair or Kristoffersen? It's Kristoffersen that leads the way, but the switchback is on, and Alitair wants to go for the inside. Fraser McConnell all over this in his first race out there. There's a little bodywork damage, but my word, 3 into 1 here going left.
McConnell's maybe going to get past Alitair as well. Here the Jamaican lining up alongside. Can't quite get their launches it hard out of there, though, into the right-hander. Note as well that JBXC, the only team that still have their Inoa Hyperdrive left, blasting through the dirt. Absolutely zero visibility. Kevin Hansen up the inside of Fraser McConnell. Absolutely tons of passing. We were asking if you could pass on this course, and the answer is an emphatic yes. And now McConnell uses his Inoa Hyperdrive, trying to close down the lead. Straight into the back. What is going on? That is Alitair pushing Kristoffersen around. That's a ludicrous move. Carnage. Kevin Hansen moves up into the lead. Absolute carnage. Oh, could he not see?
The only thing I can think of is he was blindsided and couldn't see where he was driving. Otherwise, you don't go straight at the back of someone. We'll have to wait for the onboards, but it's given Veloce the place. It looks like JBX's all over the back, and what can RXR do? They've just overtaken the McLaren team, who have also had contact. They've got damage to their car as well, but Kristoffersson is holding it together. He must be furious in that car. They know they need to progress through into this. Their concentration is going to have to focus.
Absolutely wrecked the back of that car. He will be livid, but you can see he's absolutely calm right now as he tries to do it out front. Yeah, under investigation, I should say so. I'm afraid that's only going one way, in my opinion. On board now with Tanner Faust in the 58, trying to pass the wrecked rear end of the RXR. They could well end up in the crazy race as a result of that contact, but remember, all the female drivers yet to go, another 2 laps yet to go. Kevin Hansen leads from at Cupra. In P3, it's Fraser McConnell super close behind in the JVXE machine, and they're not that far back, Jenny. Michaela Arlen-Kotlinski's got a job on her hands here, but for me, she's got to go for it now.
Okay, so this is where the cars have to get smart, the drivers have to get start. Incident involving car number 6 and 58, also under investigation. That's Rosberg X Racing and the Neon McLaren team. So I don't know what happened there. We'll hopefully get a replay, but they can only take one mechanic and their driver into that switch zone, and I'm pretty sure there's quite a few of those cars that will need a little bit of cosmetic help, maybe ripping off a little bit of bodywork here and there to try and make it a better, more efficient car going forward. But at the moment, it's Hansen who's leading the way for Veloce, a new team lineup this weekend, and my word, it's working for them. But Fraser McConnell all over the back of Alatia, trying to find a way round for JBXE.
Yeah, McConnell's doing a brilliant job here. Remember, of course, they also rolled in Q1. Off comes the front hood. The clamshell comes off the Cooper machine. That, of course, is the one that was used to ram-raid Kristoffersson. There's no investigation there for me. I'll be unless the throttle's stuck open, Jenny, I cannot understand what happened there. Kevin Hansen, meanwhile, I can understand he's doing what his brother was doing in the previous run, and they're coming in the lead. So Veloce Racing, fantastic performance. Not a lot of bodywork left to rip off most of these cars.
I was going to say, that solved one problem for them. Fraser McConnell putting all the pressure on Alatia, goes through the inside. Can he squeeze him through? He's going to try and take the inside line. I don't know if he clipped that flag, but he's going to push all the way in. He's going to have to hammer on the brakes when they get to the switch zone. Tell you what, there's only one car undamaged out there, and it's the Hansen car. Veloce at the moment has no damage. Everybody else has got tons of it.
McConnell's doing a great job here of selling his skills for next year, isn't he? Absolutely piling the pressure onto Alatia. Saved that hyperdrive for later on in the lap. Wasn't quite enough to close down the gap as he wanted. Now they brake hard and come into the switch zone. I feel sorry for Laura Winter. I don't know who she goes to talk to. I really don't. Okay, let's take another look back at what happened. Kristoffersson comes in. He must be seething. Here he is. He's out front. In comes Alatia behind. So at this point, so now Alatia's gaining over the bump, but it's here. Okay, maybe the bump, maybe I've been unfair as he comes over the bump, but still piles into the back, turns the championship leaders around. Does Kristoffersson get back in around that flag? He does. Here it is again, Jenny. Look at this.
So he's going for the move on the outside, and maybe that bump shifts the whole car over to the right more than he was expecting, but it's a really strange move. I'd like to hear from him to find out what he says.
And he may well say straight away, I made a mistake. And if he does, fair enough, I'll take it back. You know, from the first angle we saw, which was that right-hand angle, it looked to me like he'd just driven straight through him. But unbelievable turn of events for our championship leaders this weekend. This is a proper roller coaster.
Stewards are going to be very, very busy. So Molly Taylor, our reigning champion, she partnered with Kristoffersson last year for Rosberg X Racing. She's back after a break. She's in with Veloce with a new lineup, and she needs to go out there and hold Kevin Hansen's lead.
Oh, JBXE on the merge there, coming out so close. That's as close as they were on the way in. They've both got their switch zones absolutely bang on. Veloce leaves, Molly Taylor leading. It's Anderson who's into the apt Cupra machine without the front hood on it. And look at this, all over the back. I absolutely love it. Hedda Hozas is prowling, ready for a pass as they leave and head out onto lap 2. Nasser Alatia's with Laura now. What happened?
Nasser, talk me through what happened in that collision with Johan Kristoffersson.
Yeah, it was, I stayed in my line, you know, and Chris was blocking, you know, in the corner, you know, and then we try, you know, to manage, and then in the first part, you know, he was, you know, I stay left and he was right, and he completely blocked to me, and then I jumped to him, you know, but okay. Our car is okay, and we try to manage, and yeah, it looks like nice.
Thanks, Nasser.
Okay, so Nasser Al-Attiyah there saying the car jumped and that he believes he hasn't done anything wrong, but let's wait and see what the stewards say. He's under investigation for that incident with RXR. RXR under investigation for the incident with Neil McLaren as well. The steward's going to be kept busy, but out in front it is the Veloce, and it's Molly Taylor who's going to try and hold on to this. A little bit of space now developing between JBXC, who are trying to hunt down the App Cooper.
Oh,
Look!
no! So they haven't moved. They're in the crazy race. They're in the crazy race with X44. The championship is going to be decided in that crazy race tomorrow. Maybe. Bearing in mind, in fact, I mean, Sainz and the Chip Ganassi racing team might have already gone through. Could be game over for both our championship favourites. You could not write this, could you?
That is disastrous for their championship challenge, but let's keep an eye on this because it looks like the three who are out in front are really trying to get in each other's faces. Veloce Racing, Molly Taylor being hunted down at the moment. This is going to be close. Clara Anderson in that kind of slightly dishevelled car is closing that space down now, and she is pushing all the way. Hedda Hossas behind them, also trying to push, but look, the gap is coming down.
Clara Anderson has closed it down to within a second. The front end of the car is completely missing, but her maximum attack mode is not. She's absolutely on it. Remember, she's a rally crosser and she'll try to find a way through. Molly Taylor with more of a rally driving background. She'll be waiting for it. This is a good performance by Molly Taylor as well, selling herself well for next year. They come on now to the final lap, into that left-hander, through the dip bump here, all over the back. Clara Anderson desperately trying to find this way through.
Just look at the visibility, though, for Anderson. She's got that big mud splodge just on the car to the right-hand side. That's not going to help her. She's going to go for the inside line. Can she get through when she comes up to the Veloce car? No, she can't. Molly Taylor's just got enough pace, but Veloce still have their Renoa hyperdrive to use as well.
Inside, she's having another look this time. She's going to go in deep, surely trying. She does get through, goes in deep, passes Taylor on the inside. That's the second event in a row that Anderson has made an absolutely fantastic pass. She did it in the previous one. I think it was on Sarah Price on the exit. Brilliant driving. She will be high on the list for next year. If At Cooper don't scoop her up, they're mad.
Clara Anderson doing a brilliant job out there. Will the car get a penalty? It's kind of irrelevant right now because Anderson is doing so well. It's beautiful to watch as Taylor now tries to get back. Remember, a Noah hyperdrive still there for her. She's not used it yet. Neil McLaren are using it at the moment to try and catch back some of the distance between them and JBXC. But this is going to go down to the wire, and I can tell you what, JBXC are closing that gap in as well. They're trying to catch Veloce.
Super tight between them, up onto one of the flat-out grass sections now. You ride on board with Clara Anderson, mouth open. She's fully concentrating.
And just look, the Enoa hyperdrive being used right now by Taylor. She's trying to claw back some of that distance between her and Anderson. Has she picked a good space to be able to do that? As you can see, the gap between them about 2 seconds now, just stretching a little bit. It might be ugly, but she is driving beautifully as she brings it around this turn 19. What can Taylor do? Has she got an answer to this? What can Hossas do? Can she close the gap towards Taylor? Anderson in for her first full-time drive with the App Cooper team, just stretching out the lead as she wiggles round the S's, heading towards the finishing line. She looks like she's done enough. She's been brilliant out there. The gap now extending to 3 seconds. JBXC using their Enoa hyperdrive back there to try and claw some space back. But it's the finishing line for the App Cooper team. Anderson's done a brilliant job. She's followed home by Molly Taylor. And then it's Hedda Hossas. That's your top three. Anderson doing brilliantly, but will there be a penalty?
Wow. Just take a breath, because that was a pretty wild ride. Al-Attiyah saying, again, there's damage on the McLaren. We haven't really seen the incident, of course, between the McLaren and Rosberg X Racing, but it's irrelevant now because RXR never made it out of the switch zone. They will be in that crazy race tomorrow with X44. That's Clara Anderson looking absolutely calm as you like after another brilliant pass. 2 events in a row and 2 great passes. I do think there will be a penalty. I have to say, I know there was a bump, but with the closing speed, I don't know. I just feel like maybe should have thought about it a bit more, but we'll see.
So the results, a DNF, a costly DNF for RXR. Fourth place for the Neon McLaren, they're under investigation. JBXE doing a great job in third. Second for Hansen and Taylor, 2.8 seconds behind our first place finishes. Alatia and Anderson, that is under investigation. We shall see what the stewards say and how they're going to try and disprove or prove what happened out there. Here's Clara, very smiley. Let's go down Johan Kristoffersen. I'm expecting he's not going to be the happiest of men, but he is talking to Laura Winter.
Johan, I'd imagine you're incredibly frustrated right now. Talk me through that collision with Nasser Al-Attiyah firstly.
No, yeah, I was in the lead, and then I heard that Fraser still had his hyperdrive. And then I saw Nasser was just behind me going out of waypoint 13. So I positioned myself to get him on the outside, and yeah, then I was braking going into 15, and then I just got spun round. So I don't know really what happened.
It's under investigation. We'll see what happens. Obviously, they took the win in that race, but we'll see what the stewards have to say. A costly DNF for you guys in this final deciding weekend. Obviously, the car not able to get back out from Michaela's run.
No, yeah, so it was some damage on the right rear already from the impact, but then it was driving, you know, more or less fine, limping around for the second lap, and then yeah, as I just pulled into the switch bay, the car just shut down, so it just turned off itself. So yeah, and then we couldn't restart.
All right, thank you, Johan. We're going to walk in and then we're going to just see if we can grab a quick chat with Michaela, if we can. Understandably for RXR, the championship title, 17 points ahead. It's on the rocks right now. We'll see if we can find Michaela. I'm going to sneak through here and see if I can grab Michaela, if I may, if she's around. Michaela, just try and sum up your emotions for me right now. Johan's talked us through it, but you must be so frustrated you weren't even able to get out there.
No, I mean, I just think, I mean, we will have to, or they will have to investigate the race directors, but for me it's pretty clear it's unfair driving. I think it's a shame. I mean, it could have been great racing, but yeah, we'll have to look into it and see everything. Yeah, it's been a tough day, that's for sure. Not where we wanted, but situation is what it is, and we'll just have to fight for a crazy race tomorrow.
The championship very much on the rocks. You came here with a 17-point lead, and now, I mean, it's looking like the crazy race for you guys tomorrow, potentially.
Yeah, it's for sure going to be a crazy race for us. And yeah, I mean, we had a bit of a margin, but we also knew that anything can happen in Extreme E, and yeah, it's been a tough day for us. But I mean, just working hard now, get the car together, and do everything we can tomorrow.
All right, thank you very much for your time, Michaela.
Looking at that replay again from the side, Jenny, I understand why Nasser has hit the back. He's bounced at a funny angle. He's hit the back, yeah? But for me, it's the fact that after that, I think he stayed in the throttle. Because I don't see why Kristoffersen would be pushed all the way around if he'd lifted. And if he's shown on the data, which they'll be able to look at, to have stayed in the throttle after he's hit the back of him, then he's basically pushed a competitor around to pass. There you go, look. I might be wrong. I could be being horribly unfair. You know, as commentators, it's always hard. We're looking at some of the best drivers in the world. And I'm sure sometimes you guys I think, well, you can't talk. But we have to make a judgment based on what we can see. And I'm not, you see what I mean? Look at the impact speed, and then it just carries on and goes, listen in. Now we're not hearing the car video. Here it is. I don't know, he's upset. It's so hard to judge. I'd hate to be a steward, but if he's shown to have stayed in the throttle, I think that will be the thing.
Well, the thing with the stewards is they do have all of the information, all of the data there. Alatia there talking to the team. They're going through it as well, trying to work out what happened.
That's great, isn't it? Wanted a bit of reassurance on the radio.
I really like Clara Anderson's style.
I reckon her phone's going to be pretty hot right now.
Great overtake.
Brilliant, but the second one, 2 passes in a row at 2 different events on 2 different surfaces. That's the racer in her. You know, she's won Rallycross championships in Sweden and has been a force, I think, to be reckoned with in the World Rallycross Championship this year.
So I think they're going to investigate.
Now they're listening in as well, okay.
Uh-oh, watch what you say. I think they're going to investigate this after the session, so we will find out what the upshot of this is. But let's go on board and see if there's any lift in this.
Okay, so coming down now, Nasser gets this bad bump on the left. Look, he is trying for the left-hand side here. You can see he's clearly on the left. He's got more speed than Kristoffersen, then it does bump across. That is the point at which they will check if he stayed in the throttle. If he stayed in the throttle, I think they'll give him a penalty. If he hasn't, I don't think they will. And we can't judge that from here.
Yeah, it's just a really unfortunate bounce the way it goes across. Now, we're going to be watching them, watching us, listening to them.
Well, Nasser's watching. If you can hear us, Nasser, did you stay in the throttle?
Second place for this new pairing here at Veloce. All smiles for Kevin Hansen and Molly Taylor. Kevin, I'm going to come to you first. Molly, we'll just stand by, because what an eventful first couple of laps for you. Talk me through how you saw all the events that were going on.
Oh, mayhem, huh? It was insane. I mean, I had quite a good start, but we knew we didn't have to take too much risk on that opening lap. We had to finish the race, first of all, to get to the semis. So everybody just came across. I think Johan hit me, then Fraser hit me. Coming into turn 4, waypoint 4, Tanner hit me. Still, I was 4th exiting. So dusty out there, incredible. So a lot of, you know, taking a lot of risk out there. Overtook Fras. And then also, you know, Nasser completely ramming into the back of Johan, crashing out and giving me the lead. So that was pretty smooth. And then a lap, you know, pure pushing, really enjoying the car. It feels fantastic. So, yeah, pretty solid start to the race.
That pretty much sums it up. Thank you. We are waiting to hear about that steward's investigation into App Cooper, of course, as you said there, with the collision between Johan and Nasser. Molly, coming to you, a good battle between yourself and Clara Anderson. How are you feeling getting back in the car out there?
Yeah, certainly, you know, it's been a while since I've, you know, best part of a year since I've been back. So, yeah, there's certainly that period to find your feet again. But, yeah, getting more and more back at home. And, yeah, Kevin handed me the car in a great position. As he said, we just needed to finish to get to the semis. So then it was just a case of, yeah, still trying to drive. But, you know, there's no point to have a battle for no reason. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun out there and, yeah, quite dusty. But, yeah, just trying to have a clean one and prepare for tomorrow.
We'll see what happens tomorrow. Thanks both so much. Well done.
Well, you heard her saying it, smart driving again. She didn't need to push too hard. They knew that they could be through already, and that is smart driving. These are the points as things stand at the moment. Qualifying 2, 10 points for Alatia and Anderson. Qualifying heat 1, it was 10 points to Hansen and Munnings.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the points on the left and trying to figure out whether or not anything can change, and I don't think enough can. Yeah, tricky. Basically, if they give out Cooper a penalty, they would have to DQ them to drop them behind RXR, but I still think RXR and X44 will be in that crazy race together.
Well, let's put back the highlights, and it all kicked off really from the start. You can see all 5 cars squeezed together. It's JBXE right at the back, but then all of a sudden they find a little bit of pace, come through, and suddenly they're up into second place. Somehow Fraser McConnell, in his first time actually racing out there in his Stream E car, managed to find himself right in the mix of things. There's a little bit of collision. Damage started already with that, so RXR already with a car that's limping, but then it got worse.
It did indeed. Fraser was actually looking, Jenny. He was P5 off the start, so I think he's lifted and gone underneath 2 cars in the right-hand kink, almost got himself up, so that may have been a tactic off the start line. Out front, though, the battle was pretty fascinating. A few messages coming in, people with various different thoughts. You know, can Alatia lift if the front wheels of the car are already up in the air? Now, I agree with that. If he's riding on the back wheels here, look, he's up. So if he lift, but of course the rear wheels are still on the ground. So if you're still driving through, it will still push through. There's an argument he's being pulled up onto the back of the car by the rear wheels of the RXR. It's actually tougher for the stewards than you imagine. Here we go. does he lift? does he lift? It's so hard to tell. Not one we're going to have to call. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think it's one the stewards are going to decide on before we go off air. So you might have to take a little look at social media later on today. But all you need to know is this has been probably one of the most action-packed, if not the most action-packed day ever in Extreme E, the day before we closed the championship out, and it's just been wild.
And it looks so innocuous, this track. You were looking at it going, oh, a bit of grass, a bit of mud, but actually there are so many things waiting to trip up the drivers, and it's been fascinating to watch this kind of dueling out there that's taken place, the strategy that's gone into it as well. And I tell you what, they'll have so much data and information that they can pour over in the steward's office. They won't be making a decision quite as blindsided as we would be with the lack of information that we have.
Bit more information that's come in as well is that Seb Loeb and Christina Gutierrez with that car swap were actually struggling to reach the pedals as they would like to normally. So not to fully reach them, but to be exactly where they would like to sit, which makes Loeb's performance in that Continental Traction Challenge all the more impressive.
Stand up and stamp on it if in doubt.
Yeah, wow.
It's really impressive. So they look like at the moment they've secured that extra 5 points. Can anybody else do that? I feel like maybe that moment has gone for it. But we will certainly see X44 and RXR battling it out in the crazy race, which, I mean, make a date for tomorrow, because today's been amazing already, and we've got even more with the championship at stake, and 4 teams wanting it. Who's going to be able to get it? That's the question.
Yeah, those 5 championship points as well, they're only going to help X44 if they make it out of the crazy race. It is still a bold strategy. Well, what a day here. Fraser McConnell has just had an action-packed race. Everyone had an action-packed race, but it's Fraser who's with Laura Winter right now.
Fraser, unable to get out this morning after, of course, Hedda rolled the car. But you made the most of that one, didn't you, out there? Talk me through those opening 2 laps, because it was a bun fight, wasn't it?
No, it was really crazy. I thought I missed the start, but then engineer just told me everyone else used their hyperdrive, so that makes sense. Tucked in and used my rallycross knowledge to make up some positions right off the bat. And yeah, it was just kind of a dogfight for the rest of it, and trying to be as respectful to the other guys as I could, but you know, still a hard, clean racing.
How much did you see of Nasser Al-Attiyah versus Johan Kristoffersen? Tanner Faust and Kevin Hansen were in the mix as well.
I was kind of a dust cloud in front of me, and then I saw more dust and then a car spinning, so I just tried to stay out of the way. And yeah, no, me and Nasser's fight after that made Kevin make up some ground and get the pass on me. But you know, everyone is super fast and ready to race hard, so I'm having fun.
Yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow. I think we're still sort of doing the maths, but you're thinking it may be crazy race for you guys after that roll this morning?
I'm not sure. We haven't looked at the paper yet, but you know, whichever race we get put in, it's going to be flat out.
Oh, I love it. Fighting talk on your first weekend. Never in doubt, Fraser McConnell. Thank you very much for your time. Well done today. Good luck tomorrow.
Whichever race we're in, it's going to be flat out. If JBXE, imagine if they end up nothing to lose and everything to gain by, you know, showing a great performance in the same race as X44 and RXR, who absolutely have to make it through to the final. I'm just trying to think about in terms of points. Yeah, I mean, if they don't make it, they're going to be overtaken, aren't they, by Acciona Sainz. Acciona Sainz at 23 off the back of RXR. There's a bit of maths to be done here tonight, so forgive us, we'll figure it out. But it's suffice to say, if you're P1 and P2 in the championship, you do not want to be in the crazy race.
So these are the points that have been distributed so far, the qualifying points. And you can see Hansen and Mullings, the top scorers in Heat 1, Heat 2. And this is how it shakes out for the semis. And this is the crazy race. Look, JBXE, he was right. He's through into there. X44, Excite Energy and RXR all go through to the crazy race. My word, we've still got to hear what happens with car 125. That's the Apt Cupra car. At the moment, they are in semi-final 2, and look at semi-final 1. And the battle for this championship is going to go down to the wire. It's so close. 83 points for RXR, 66 for X44. But if you include the 5 points for the Continental Traction Challenge, the gap comes down to 12 between them and RXR. Behind them is Acciona Sainz on 60 points and Chip Ganassi Racing on 55. At the moment, I think they're all still in it.
Am I right that Acciona Sainz and Chip Ganassi Racing were in the same semi-final? Were they both in semi-final 1? I didn't see it long enough. I think they were.
Yes.
Right, so our two championship contenders are in the crazy race. Only one will go through. The other two are in together in that first race. But crucially, we're just looking it up here frantically with photos that we've taken, and it is, yeah, but they're up against. Who's in there with them?
So they've got Andretti United.
And Munnings. It's Genesis Andretti United are so fast. They've qualified in that top position. They're so fast, but in with them are the other two championship contenders. I'd have to say that I think Hansen and Munnings look so strong that one of those championship contenders won't go through. Might we only see it exactly? But it's so exciting. It is so exciting.
Semi-final one, a lot of pressure going into that to try and get through. Crazy race, so much of that is going to be difficult, but all of this with an investigation into the Abt Cupra car, which could change things as well. You can see grid play at the moment, X44 leading the way with 25%, but Abt Cupra right behind them on 21%. We have had a smashing day, literally and metaphorically. I hope you've loved it as much as we have.
Absolutely crazy. I mean, the crazy race is tomorrow, but really it was crazy enough today. Have a go on that QR code if you want to get involved in grid play for tomorrow. It's been an absolutely epic day of qualifying here at the final round of Extreme E 2022. We crown a champion tomorrow. Right now, it is absolutely wide open, so do not miss it.
Hyperdrive now. Hyperdrive now.